Hello, Iqbal. No time, no see. How are you?
Amdi, I'm fine, thank you. So, during PKP, all I'm doing is only eat, sleep, game. Now my fat percentage I think go up to 20%. So, how about you?
Me too, Iqbal. I called you on a purpose today because there must be something interesting that you are doing right now. Well, you always have something new to do.
Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm not sure. Is it really interesting? But it is interesting for me. So, uh, I still not sure how this experiment will go. So, and I think I need your help.
So, what is the experiment about, Iqbal?
Well, it's about copper. Last night I'm trying to cook some Maggi for myself by using one of my mother's pot. I name it pot A. The thing is, it took me like 15 minutes to cook one Maggi and it's very stressful because I'm very hungry. Uh, so today I decided to cook Maggi again, but this time I'm using a different pot where I name it pot B. And what I found is that my Maggi cook faster when I'm using pot B compared to pot A. Turn out pot A and pot B were made of different material where pot A was made of iron while pot B was made of copper. I don't really know anything about copper, Hamdi. Can you enlighten me, please?
I see. So you're confused because you don't know what copper is. Don't worry. I will share some information about copper with you. So, copper is a reddish orange metal element that forms naturally in the form of free metal or associated with another metal element and is classified as a transition metal in the periodic table. For your situation, it makes sense that the part B, which were made of copper, become hot faster compared to part B. This is because copper is known for its characteristic easy to shape and bend, malleable, ductile, and a good electrical and heat conductor with lower chemical reactivity. Due to the ability of copper as a good heat conductor, people have been using copper as the material in the pot making. Other metal apart from copper is cast iron, carbon steel, and many more. Copper pot is very popular in French and is still being used in a high-end French restaurant.
Wow, really? No wonder pot B cook faster than pot A.
Yes, and hey, did you know that copper is one of the heavy metal?
No.
Well, did you know that heavy metals are mostly described as metal with relatively high densities, atomic numbers, or atomic weights? The principal hues and whether the metallites are contained differ depending on the author and the context. A heavy metal may be described on the physical foundation of the density, while in physics, the analyzing of criterion might be atomic number, while a chemist will possibly be more interested with the chemical behavior. There are more different definitions of have been reported, but none of these have been widely accepted. And always we have heard that heavy metal is always dangerous to be used. But did you know that copper is one of them? And copper is listed as not really harmful compared to mercury, lead, and others. Well, talking about the using of the copper itself, actually, people are not only use copper in pot making only, but they also use copper to make coins, electrical wiring, and even the Statue of Liberty in New York were made of copper.
Wow. That's quite interesting. I would like to share something too because based on what I have read, copper can be found easily and abundantly in the environmental surrounding. It could be either by natural source or human activities. In natural source, we can find copper in dust from windswept, volcanic rock, rotting plants, and seawater. As for human activity or industrial, we can find copper by the disposal of copper through factory that produce copper metal or its compound. Another interesting fact or characteristic about copper is that Copper has an antimicrobial properties and it has become popular in medical field nowadays. Since you are taking microbiology, Hamdi, this must be an interesting fact for you.
Wait. Seriously? Copper has antimicrobial properties? Oh wow, I didn't know about that. And yes, that was really interesting. Thank you for sharing this new info with me, Iqbal. So let's move to the next point, shall we?
Okay.
So it's true that we need copper in our diet since it is helps to make our body stay healthy and avoid diseases such as Alzheimer's disease. But I heard that there is a bad factor that copper may bring if we tend to consume in an excess amounts. Did you know anything about the negative effect of copper towards the humans and animal body, Paul?
From what I know, I think about the toxicity of copper to humans. What I read is that back when I want to do my project, but I still not sure. So do you know anything?
It's okay, pal. Just share later. We can check it together. So, what is the info that you have got? I see that you have become much better in study. Uh,
So basically, from what I read is that copper toxicity is really rare in human, but there are two forms of toxicity which are acute and chronic copper toxicity.
oh, I know that one. If I'm not mistaken, acute toxicity usually happens due to accidental consumption by children. It is also occurs when someone trying to commit suicide.
Really? They use suicide for this?
Yes, normally when they try to suicide, the ingestion of a several grams of copper is one of the example in acute copper toxicity.
Wah, Hamdi, you should know a lot, huh?
I only know about the acute copper toxicity. I don't really know about the chronic toxicity.
As for chronic copper toxicity, based on my reading is that chronic toxicity is usually associated with Wilson disease.
It is a rare disease which causes a copper buildup in the liver, brain, and other major organs, right?
Yes, basically excess copper that being absorbed from diet will be excreted by bile. But those who contact this disease can properly remove this excess copper, which then led to accumulation of copper inside their body.
Oh, I see. That was a good info, Iqbal. So, seems that you read a lot about copper again.
Yeah, I can say that since I want to know a lot about copper. By the way, Hamdi, apart from effect to human, do you know any negative effect that copper brings towards, say, the environment?
I know that one. From what I know all along, copper does not break down in the environments and eventually accumulate in plants and animals.
Really? It seems kind of threatening to human health.
Yeah, moreover, plants that live in the copper-rich soils have low chance of survival, and this problem can be a serious threat to production of the farmlands.
So the farmers need to be cautious on using pesticide or fertilizer that consists of copper so that we can overcome this problem.
You got me, Iqbal. Nice one.
But I wonder how about the the aquatic organism? Did will they be affected by copper too?
Here, Iqbal. Copper is highly toxic to aquatic organisms. That's why people often use copper-based products to kill algae, fungi, and mollusks.
So what about the fish? Their gills. I heard that something wrong happens if their gills were exposed to copper.
Normally, their gills will be frayed and lead to inability to regulate the transport of salts.
Oh no, I feel bad for them. That because just like humans, these are important to fish for normal functioning of the cardiovascular and nervous system. Without this, obviously they will die.
But Iqbal, let me add something. As we talked earlier, copper can be a dangerous threat to the environment, isn't it? To the environments, animals, and humans. But guess what?
For every negative thing, there's always be a positive, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I know everything has pros and cons. There's no thing such as like always the positive or always negative. There will always be the pros and cons of thing.
Sure. Did you know plants need copper to maintain and grow?
Of course, if there's a lack of copper in soil, the farming area cannot achieve sustainable production.
In advance, the world's two most important food crops will not be able to survive in a copper deficient soil.
Do you mean rice and wheat?
True. This is because if the soil used for planting wheat and rice is copper deficient soils, it will result in a yield losses and low quality.
Man, that sounds like a serious problem. Glad that our rice crop is still in good condition, so that I will eat rice. No wonder my fat increased now.
You're thinking only about eating, huh?
I'm sorry, Hamdi. If copper can bring toxicity to humans, can it also bring good for us?
Copper sure does have a good impact on humans, which is we require copper for sustaining the elasticity of blood vessels so that our blood pressure can maintain at normal conditions. One question. Do you know collagen?
What I know is that collagen is a common protein that can be found in human skin, right?
Awesome. So what is the function?
For maintaining our appearance so that we always look sharp.
Okay, good. So basically, copper does take part in the formation of a collagen. Lacking copper may result in a defect in the collagen, and your face will look older than your age.
so I need to consume. So I need to consume copper in the required amount so that I'm not suffering from deficient or excess copper.
Yeah, that sounds good. Both of us need to consume it based on what it should be, or else we might end up aging faster.
Yeah, beside I try cooking Maggie using pot, I also try a new plant project. But I noticed that my plant is not that very healthy. It's like they have a dark coloration and their growth rates are not really good lah for me. So even though I already use a grade A fertilizer and also a brand new pesticide.
Does it contain high level of copper?
I think so.
Seems like this one is copper pollution, isn't it?
Really?
Yes, copper pollution has appeared in the proximity of copper mines and smelting for a very long time. So, this copper mostly are sulfide minerals and oxidized in the air to become sulfates and then producing sulfuric acid, which contributes the copper in the mineral highly soluble. Well, do you know where the sources, Iqbal?
No, I don't think so.
Well, copper mine, like, for example, the sources came from copper mine tailings, refining of copper, and agriculture like using copper-rich fertilizer and pesticides.
But so what is the relation of this pollution with my plant project?
Okay, so from what you listed, it can be said that this is due to copper excess. Plants have their own method to remove excess copper. Plants' primary response towards high toxicity due to excess of the copper, primarily through precautionary and avoidance steps which emphasize on the preventing accumulation of copper, thus reducing its damaging effects. They lower the uptake of a heavy metal either through mycorrhizal actions or extracellular exudates, Next, the heavy metals were excluded from the shoots by immobilizing it in the roots. Besides that, they promote the afflictions of metals at the plasma membrane. Not to mention, these metals were selected by phytogelatin, metallothioneins, organic acid, or heat shock proteins. And lastly, the metals were separated into different compartments engineered in the vacuole. In the vacuole.
I see. So this means, yeah, I need to start ordering and buying some certain material because from what I remember, what my father told me is that you can reduce the amount of copper presence in the soil by increasing its pH through several items such as the limestone or the potassium carbonate. While also we can also use organic matter to reduce the availability of copper through chelation reaction. We can also maintain the soil water lock. So due to the copper insolubility, while we can also add zinc and phosphorus in the soil, as zinc as an antagonistic effect, I think, to copper, while phosphorus will reduce the uptake of copper by plant.
There are a new alternative on control copper concentration present in the soil by using hyperaccumulator plants, albeit it's still in study, but they said that due to its abilities to absorb mineral 100 times fold compared to usual plants, there can be an alternative ways to reduce copper presence in the soil.
Oh, that's really interesting. Who knows in the future, humanity can exploit the full potential of copper, but also have the suitable sustainability and correct management.
Yes, remember, there is no doubt that copper is an essential natural resource of Earth that helps humanity to step up into the modern world due to its various remarkable properties. Without the discovery of copper, various fields such as modern technologies and agriculture will face a hard time as copper metals are being used at a large scales in many productions. The demands for this metal have skyrocketed and put pressure towards the supplier to extract more copper, while forgetting another important aspect that a few people are aware of, which is the pollution of metal itself. The pollution of the copper from human surely will backfire, but not only humans will suffer. The environments and animals, plants also will be affected by this event due to the toxicity of the metal. Hence, the companies should be more alert and responsible towards nature as the earth has given humanity its resources by carefully planning the waste management. Each individual knowledge before handling with copper to prevent unnecessary pollutions. To conclude, copper pollution is a real thing that is happening right now, even if it is not visible to us naked eyes. I think that's all from me. I have talked too much about the copper.
Yeah, you really helped me here. I really mean it. But as much as I would love to talk with you more, but it's already 2 a.m. So I get quite sleepy. So maybe that's all for today.
Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.